In this video, I'm going to rank the Rockets' top 6 prospects based on upside. Tap in. Enjoy.
Sound 42. Turn it up. It's the Chop Not Slap Show. It's OG Ron C and DJ Candlestick.
Shop Stars OVO Gang.
DJ Candlestick. One time for the homie DJ Screw. Already. I'm feeling throwed in this bitch.
The Rockets Chop Shop merch store is up and running, and right now, just for our listeners, everything is 20% off. 20% off everything. Make sure you click the banner at the top of the page to get the coupon code. On there is 20% off everything in the store. You know, you can go grab you a Man Praying Hands t-shirt, the CSG t-shirts, get you a H-Town, down, 10 toes down t-shirt. We try to keep it real Houston. We try to keep it real Rockets. We try to keep it real at the end of the day. So yeah, keep rocking with us and we're going to keep dropping heat.
This is something I know.
What is up, CSGs? Man, it is that time of the summer. Summer league is dying down. The season is months away and, the mind starts to stray. So I decided to make a list of the Rockets' top prospects and rank them from highest upside. Not to lowest upside, just whoever has the highest to whose upside is not so high. Because if you look at the Rockets, we are stocked full of talent. So before I do this list, let me just give you all my qualifiers for it. Number one, it's going to be based on their ability to be able to do something that somebody else just can't do. I give that, some value between the 6 of them. Can you do something that the other guys don't do very well? That'll give you points for that. How many things do you do very well at your young age? Give them points for that. And I'm also looking at physical attributes. Are you bigger, faster, stronger? Is there something taller? Is there something that you can do, a physical skill that you have, a physical attribute that you have that is God-given that nobody else can take away from you? Because I do value that in upside when you look at some of the greatest players in the NBA, like the LeBron Jameses of the world, the Michael Jordans of the world, the Shaqs of the world. That physical ability, whether it's size or physical dominance, that stuff does count. So it does count. So we got to keep that in mind. So I'm going to rank our players, and the 6 of them, it's going to be the 6 players that we've drafted over the past 3 years. And I'm going to rank them from highest upside, based on highest upside. And we'll start off with, the name that I think has not the least upside, but if they were to reach their full maximum potential, what kind of player would they be? So y'all tap in. Y'all are going to enjoy this. So number 6, and this was hard. This was hard, bro, because there's 2 players that I feel like, and that could have been 5th or 6th. They go back and forth that I feel like could have basically flip-flop. But for me, the thing that was the deciding factor between me putting this guy number 6 was some of the criteria I just said. And number 6 for me, as far as upside, is going to be Tari Eason. Tari, I think that he probably has one of the highest floors, maybe the second highest floor behind Alperen on the team right now, as far as the young guys that we've drafted. But he is a bit older than some of the other players, and I'm going to have him number 6 as far as the highest upside. Obviously, Tari's a two-way demon, one of the best young defenders in the league. Y'all see, I rave about him. His help side defense, he does everything on the court. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. And I think for that reason, I have him number 6, in addition to, some of the other limitations. He's not like an elite shooter, but he's a good enough shooter. I think his elite skill is just winning, right? He's a winning player. And I think those type of players are more important in the construct of a team. But when it comes to upside, I'm going to say that he's number 6 on the list. What does Tari's upside look like? I think Tari's already giving you flashes of it in Summer League. Did you, see him playing point guard? Did you see him being a clamp on defense, weak side rim protect, helping out, playing the passing lanes? His upside is a two-way demon. And I think that if you're looking at building and constructing a team, Now, if we were talking about players that I would like to take going forward, that'd be a different list. He'd be at the top of it. But just purely like scaling out to what he could be, I think at best, if Tari is like if he reaches ultimate potential, he probably is like a third team, second team All NBA wing, right? His even though he has great size for a wing, it's nothing physically dominant about him to say that like this guy is going to be just like a one of those guys is just overly athletic that you can give the ball to in the playoffs and he's going to go do something with it. So in that case, so that's why I have him number 6. I know, some people are higher on him than that as far as upside. Can he be a Kawhi Leonard? Really don't know. Really don't know. But I think that as far as team building, he's up at the top for me. But if we're talking about strictly upside, I'm going to have to give it to him at number 6. So Tari Eason is number 6 as far as the best prospects with the highest upside on the team. Number 5 is going to be Cam Whitmore. So Mr. Whitmore, and some people have him higher. I know some of y'all are going to be like, Cam Whitmore. Yes, Cam Whitmore. Looking at him, he does have extreme athleticism. So Cam is a super athlete. So that is what put him over Tari for me. A demon in transition. He, plays well on defense. Biggest knock against Cam right now as far as his upside is his feel for the game. I feel like he's going to be a work in progress for that aspect of his game. Usually, to me, I like to look at guys that have a more natural feel, but it's really hard to tell because he just turned 19 like 3 days ago. So this list may change after he gets to be 19 or 20 years old. But right now, I feel like if he was to reach his ultimate potential, similar to Tari, he's going to be a two-way player. He is a much better scorer. I don't think he's as impactful of a defender as Tari is on the court, all over the court. I don't think he's as high IQ of a defender. But I do think that with his athleticism and scoring, you're looking at a scoring wing that could play defense. I don't know how elite his defense skills out, but I think it'll be good enough. So, I've heard the comps of the Jalen Browns of the world. I think I can see that with his size. 6'7", the wingspan isn't crazy, but, he's a great hustle player, has the right attitude. And I think that if everything works out for him, he could be a star, like a true star, like in that Jalen Brown ilk, one of those players that could be worthy of a max. I just think that he just has a lot of runway to run through before he gets to that point. For him coming into the season, I'd like to see just more growth. I love what I'm seeing in Summer League, the incremental growth from game to game to game. And I love the quotes that are coming out from the coaches, from him, just talking about the game. And I feel like the coaching staff that we have right now is perfect for him. But I'm going to have him 5th on my list, and this is subject to change, guys. So don't if you love Cam Whitmore, don't go crazy with it and saying, "Oh, I'm hating." Hey, if he, like, after a season, let's say we do another one of these next summer, he might get bumped up if he shows more proof. But right now, he's going to be number 5. The number 4 on the list of highest upside is going to be Alperen Sengun. And Alp, once again, like the Tari part, high floor guy. He probably has the highest floor on the team. But you look at upside, obviously people want to compare to the Jokic. I think, in a perfect world, he does reach that outcome. But, if you think about the criteria that I said earlier, I spoke about, the physicals, right? So I think Alp does have some physical tools that make him, obviously, his strength. He's very elite, strong player, elite in the post, player that can bang with the best of them. I think that's a physical strength for him, but obviously he's not a towering figure. He's not a 7'5" Wemby, a 7-foot Jokic. His wingspan isn't anything crazy. Sneaky athlete, but not a super elite athlete. What he does well that puts him in the 4th spot is that his IQ all over the court is off the charts. Plus, then you asked me, one of the criteria I had is what do players really do that make them great? And he does 2 things. He can score and he can pass. And that's a offensive engine makeup right there. So you have a big man, despite all the physical limitations that he may have, the fact that he can be an offensive engine for a team and an offense onto himself puts him at the 4th spot. But just like with Tari, if it was like trying to build a team and project out as far as who's the guys that you can rely on, definitely he'll be probably number 1 on my list. But with him coming into this season, I know he's grown some. I'm not the type that, Alp is 6'10", he's bad. Then LP is 6'11". Oh my God, now he's great. That's kind of stupid to me. Like, I really don't care about that. Honestly, a lot of the defensive stuff for big men is going to be based on their wingspan. If his wingspan isn't improving, then the height really doesn't do much. And then also, obviously, his instinct to time the ball, being in position, et cetera, et cetera. So y'all seen my videos. So I'm not one that gets off on, oh, he got to be 7 foot tall to reach his potential. I just think that obviously with the shooting being a limitation, he has some work to do. But I can see a world where his IQ becomes that instead of him being just a physical player, that he could just IQ you to death with his skills as well. High skill player. I think that fourth is appropriate for him for that. And, you know, some people may have him number 1. I have him number 4. Y'all let me know what you think about that one. But I'm going to have Alpia number 4. So number 3. Okay. We're getting spicy here. This one might shock some of y'all. Number 3, I'm going to go with Jalen Green. And yeah, I'm going to go with Jalen because I think that he is somebody that has a lot of potential, right? Jalen is a scoring guard. First off, he is a 2 guard with one of the more gifted scorers to come into the NBA. He checks the box of having a physical skill that you can't really plan for. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA. A killer first step. But the fact that he's not a bigger player, Jalen is probably 6'5", 6'6". He's not big for his position. You can see that he's been working to get his frame bigger. So I did dock some points off from that. The shooting is kind of wishy-washy at this point, but he is, to me, I think he's going to be a great shooter. I think the combination of his athleticism and his shooting ability, he might not be an efficient player right now, but once all that comes together, the fact that he's been trained to run the pick and rolls by Silas, the fact that he has shown some flashes of being a playmaker, he's getting to the line at will. I think that scoring and that baseline playmaking does give you the foundation for him to scale up to being a offensive engine and the guy on the team that you give the ball to close out the game. A guy that can probably average 25 to 30 points in the NBA. And as we know, the offense is a premium to have. And my criteria for players that are offensive players isn't that you can just score, because scoring in a vacuum is such a it's nice, yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't really move the needle much as far as winning championships, right? Just players that score, they don't win, right? You see this every year with guys that really don't have well-built teams. A player could drop 40 every night and lose because the other team has a bunch of great role players and a great system that really just plays the game the right way and is efficient. So his scoring in a vacuum isn't what I envision like his ultimate form will be. I think Jalen, for him to reach his potential, he has 2 options. And you guys have heard me refer to this before in other videos. One option is that Jalen is a 2-way player. That means he plays defense and offense. And the other option is that he is an offensive engine where he is a facilitator for the entire team. I don't know which one is more likely for him. Honestly, I would hope that a little bit of both, and we kind of get somewhere in the middle, that he keeps projecting out as an offensive savant, somebody that could score at will, that could basically just be on the court, and by osmosis, he's averaging like 25. But that defense really has to show me something this season, and I think that's really going to be what his challenge is going to be, is that defensive end. I think as far as playmaking, he's going to get better at that. You know, now having a point guard with Fred, having more structure around the team, having players and a coach that's going to be real strict about guys being where they're supposed to be, making the right plays, making the right passes. You're going to see him kind of evolve a little bit more in that aspect. But I don't think he has the natural, innate ability to be a playmaker like a James Harden or Trae Young or Luka, one of these guys. Like, you guys know my philosophical views on guys that are like point guards or facilitators, like the Draymonds of the world and Jokic. They're born with it. You don't really teach that. I mean, you can help a little bit. You can make guys make the basic play. They can make some nice kickouts, but that manipulation that you see from some of these kids, that's God-given. So I don't think he has that all the way. So I'm thinking his best bet is be one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. Jalen has shown an affinity for that. You know, he's won in isolation. When he's one-on-one with his with a player guarding them, he is one of the better isolation guards in the NBA as far as on defense. Where he gets in trouble is everywhere else, whether it's help side, whether it's navigating screens, whether it's just knowing where to be. effort on contests, closing out, things like that. Everywhere else is not great. But when it's like mano y mano, the dude has the athletic ability and the want to at times to be able to be a good defender. It's just the consistency isn't there. But, with all that said, with his athletic ability, the fact that he's a scorer, the fact that he's flash playmaking, I think that it's easy for him to reach his not his full ceiling, but at least somewhat of a ceiling for him, because we've already seen flashes of it. So that's why I have him third. And I know some people may have him first. I just think that he has to show more on the defensive end or the playmaking end to really get that nod. Okay, the second player. Okay, there's only two left. So you guys, can you guess which one's number two? Guess right now before I say it. Okay, I'm going to say it. My number two highest upside player for the Rockets is going to be Jabari Smith Jr., right? And you guys are like, what, Jabari? Yes, Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari checks multiple boxes, even though he hasn't shown it yet, but his skill set at baseline checks multiple boxes. The defense is going to be there, and the shooting is there. So the defense and the shooting. Now, the three-point shooting may not be his skill set that, takes him to that level. If you guys have been watching this channel, you know from day one that what I've always said about Jabari is that when it's time for him to be a star, it's going to be out of the post. Not like Alperen in the post, but in that mid-post area, right? You guys remember, I've said this from when he first came to, I said this on the Twitter Spaces when we knew that he fell to us and we knew we were going to be able to get him, and we drafted him. The next day, I don't know if it was the next day or the day after, people were arguing, Jabari can't dribble, he can't dribble. I was like, bro doesn't need to dribble. Y'all forgot about the era of the power forwards, right? The Rasheed Wallaces of the world, the Kevin Garnetts of the world. You know what I mean? Just the era where those type of archetypes are around. And I think that because the NBA has gotten so perimeter heavy, we've forgotten about what those look like. Jabari is a power forward through and true, and he can do it playing the three, he can do it playing the five, scaling up, but he's a four. He's a four that can play the five and the three, but he's a four. And what those fours look like is what you saw in Summer League. Buckets from the mid post, buckets from the elbow, buckets. And you know what? The dude is damn near 7 foot tall. You can't block it, right? So all it takes is for him to get a little bit stronger, get a little bit more balance on his shot, and it's an unblockable, unguardable shot. Right? Now, I'm saying all of that offensively. Then you think about the two-way potential that this kid has already flashed. Rim protection, isolation defense, that's man on man, on the perimeter and on the interior. You know what I mean? He's a good help side defender. Needs to improve on that aspect of his game. Probably the worst part of his game was him playing the help. But he was young too. You project him growing forward. He might even grow a little bit more. He's going to be yoked up. I promise you. When that dude is 25, he'll probably look maybe not like Giannis, but something like that. So that's why I have him that high. I think that the fact that he has the physical skills as far as with his height, the shooting, he has the defense and the ability for me, the two-way is going to be the scoring out of the mid to high post, and the three-point shooting is going to be there at some point. I know he's not like consistent and efficient right now, but he is a good shooter. So I think that in a world where Jabari hits his upside, he might be not like the best by NBA Twitter standards player on the team, but for a construct of a team, he might be the best player on that team as far as like if he reaches his full potential, right? And that upside is something just scary, right? Just like you've seen with the Boston Celtics when they had Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Paul Pierce was going to give you buckets. Ray was going to shoot that thing. But KG was that kind of glue guy that kept everything together. And I feel like Jabari has that upside. And I'm looking at this in light of a championship. That's why I'm going to put him at number 2. So I think Jabari, if he scales out and becomes a two-way player, you're talking about first, second team All-NBA, a level player, a guy that you can dump the ball off on a championship team and just let him cook, right? Let him cook, dump the ball off, fourth quarter. We need a bucket, bro. We need a bucket. Go get it. Give it to your 7-footer that nobody can block. All right, put him to bed with like Dirk did. You know what I mean? Like Dirk did in the finals. So that's where I think he's going to be up on there. I think he does need to improve on a lot of his game. Definitely, you see minimal improvements on some of the things he's already doing well. The footwork is getting better. Ball handling is seeing big strides. The shooting does need to get better. The consistency, he needs to get stronger, keep getting stronger. But the progression is already there. So I think Jabari is our second best prospect. I know that's going to shock a lot of y'all. And the number one best prospect on the Rockets is none other than Mr. Thompson himself. Amen Thompson, I think, is the best prospect, highest upside player that we have on the roster right now. And the reason is, well, what my definitions are. Amen checks multiple boxes. Amen is projected to be a good defender. Amen is, I'm saying projected. Now, this is all projection. He could, maybe he struggles out the first year, but this is just assuming at what their baseline talent level is right now and projecting it's obviously development is not a straight line, but projecting that they develop at a certain pace. And I think that Amen has the skills to be one of those guys. You have defense, you have IQ, you have playmaking. And I think the fact that the defense and the playmaking it's a rare combination. And that is a rare combination because those are two of the innate skills that I think players have. There's some guys that even if they try, they can't play defense. It's a mentality thing, right? So some guys are just dogs on defense. That's what they do. And some guys are just playmakers. Like they're born. Like I said, it's innate. They can read the game at a certain level. When you have those two combinations, then you add the fact that for his position, Amen is big. He's 6'7" at the point guard position. So he's bigger than 99% of the players at his position. He's one of the best athletes in the NBA from day one. He has an elite first step. He's a high flyer all over the court, reads the game on both ends of the court. And his only weakness at this point in his game is experience and shooting. Right? And the shooting, it's not that he can't shoot, it's that he's just inefficient. Yes, his shot is not perfect, but can he get to the point where he's a 33% three-point shooter? Right? Is he going to be the type of guy that's scared to take a shot? Those are the type of questions that are going to limit his ceiling. But as is right now, to me, the premium for teams is those perimeter creators that run the show, right? These are the guys that really take you up a level, both as having a high floor and a high ceiling for a team. And I think Thompson is in that build of a team's like main guy. And you're not even factoring the other intangibles. I mean, the interviewing skills, the fact that he could be the face of your franchise, the dude that you can trust, right? He's going to make the right plays, he's going to say the right things. And here's the part that I haven't really talked about a lot with Amen is the fact that he's so personable. I know it sounds stupid, right? He's a nice guy. That stuff matters to the media and perception of the general media on the team. When you have a lot of young players, they don't have great interview skills. They might say things that are kind of, like, okay, what is he talking about? When you have these personable players, it really does ingratiate the franchise to the world because they see the level of professionalism coming from a guy that young, right? And this is how you brand build. And for us in Houston, if you think about it, a lot of the dislike that people have had in Houston are due to the characters that we've had, not of their own fault, right? You think about the James Harden era here in Houston. James is kind of a quirky guy. He's a little bit different, not really great with speaking, kind of awkward and shy. So that never really gave us that promotion that our team needed. As great as he was as a basketball player, he never really drew that in. Nobody was just dying to go interview James Harden. You think about some of the great players, the Kobe's, like the post-game sound bites, the passion that they speak with, the intellect, the ability to dissect the game, the LeBrons, the Jordans, the Shaqs, these great iconic players that are able to speak the game, to have that relationship with the media. And I think that if you look at who we have right now, Amen Thompson to me, he's a front runner for one of those type of players. Now, can he bring it on the court? That's really what it's going to come down to for his upside. I think the fact that he's a point guard, give him 2 years. If he reaches his peak, I'm thinking top 10, top 15. Top 10, top 15, especially if the team's winning. Not only is he going to be an all defensive type of player, he's going to be, all-star, dunk contest. Like, the arc is there, man. Everything is there for him and his brother. I mean, I love both of them, for them to really be stars, like different level stars. And so I think for the Rockets, drafting a player of that ilk, like I said, my analogy with football, you can't tank for 3 years and not get a quarterback. You can get every position in the world, but all that's window dressing till you get a quarterback. And I think Amen Thompson is a quarterback. And I think if everybody reaches their ceiling, his ceiling is going to be the highest, because he's going to be bigger, faster, stronger than everybody in this position. And if you assume that he hits the ceiling, he's a decent shooter. He's faster than you. He's dunking on you. He's dishing off of you. He's dissecting your team. He's clamping your best wing player, shutting them down. He's switching out in the post, stripping the ball from the big. He's everywhere on the court. He's, after the game, he's talking to the media, making them laugh, giving them jokes. He's giving the team speeches in a locker room. He's the hardest worker on the team. All of that stuff. The kid's the complete package. Can he reach it? That's the question. That is going to be the question for all of this. This is just a fun exercise, but life is never just linear, right? Where you just, this guy has this skill set, so he's going to reach it. So, how they turn out, it's going to be up to each and one of these individuals. You know what I mean? There could be a world where Tari is the best prospect, right? That we're sleeping on him. A world where Cam Whitmore is actually the guy that we think Jalen Green is, where he does learn self-creation and becomes an offensive engine with his size and athletic ability. A world where Jabari is just never that good, right? A world where Sengun, is the best player, or Jabari is the best player, or a world where, any of these guys, Jalen becomes like a offensive savant that's like dishing and willing, and he's a two-way star, and a Kobe. All of that is there. We just don't know. All we can do is project out. But one thing that we will say is that this coming year is a big year for a lot of these guys, but especially the Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun class of players, because their contract extensions are coming up. So I do expect them to be on full display as far as what they're going to do. I expect Jalen to play defense. I expect Alp to play defense. I expect them to play the right way and do all the things to show that they deserve to be projected out and given the money that their upside promises. But let me know what you think about my ranking, and let me know, what is your ranking from the top 6 players that we've drafted? How do you have them ranked? Who's your best prospect? Who's the one that's not the best? I don't want to say the least, because it gives a connotation of like one is bad, one is not. All of our players, we all love our players. Just based on your projections, what you see about their games, let me know, how do you rank them from 1 through 6? Y'all seen my list. Tari, Cam, Sengun, Jalen, Jabari, and Amen number 1. I know yours are going to be different. So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep dropping that
Fire.